Hey man, what's up?
Hey! Let me put my soldering iron over here where so I'll burn the house down. So what are we working on today? Well, it's actually a bit of 3D printing, which I know you guys love, and it's the Exocet. So we're actually mixing the things that everybody loves together. So the Exocet has 1-inch square bars going across the chassis, which are used to mount any kind of seat that you would have for it. And this is left to interpretation a lot. I found a lot of designs that people have, they have to kind of engineer stuff that doesn't necessarily work very well. And your seat is really designed to keep your butt in place in case of things going bad, or if you decide to take a turn at 60 miles an hour, which you would want to at high speeds in an Exocet anyway, because that's what it's built for. Track dog racing makes really nice seats. They're very light and they're very strong, and I'm trying to incorporate a design for a seat mounting bracket that would work exceptionally well with the Exocet, and specifically with their seats and with the layout of the actual 1-inch bars, which are 16 inches on center for them. If you know, I'm going from wood construction anyway. So if we look at this design here, which I've rendered, we've got holes here that are designed to go down with quarter-inch bolts all the way down into the chassis, which would then be bolted through the bottom. But these are actually designed to sit directly on where those square bars would be for the supports. And then it's also got 2 holes in the top, which are then used to bolt the seat on. Now the design for this being the front, the lowest point right here for the front is below the crest right here. So if there is a rear impact, the force being forced forward will actually be forced down rather than up, and this positively breaking loose. The same with the back. If an impact occurs, it's going to be forced down, not up, because of the angle. Now the seat is not set at a certain flat angle. Now I found that the most comfortable angle for the seat to be sitting at, instead of it being sitting straight up, because we're not robots, is actually sitting back at roughly 10.5 to 12 degrees, somewhere in there. I decided to go with 10.5 just for a little bit more forward. Obviously this could be adjusted slightly by the people who are making it if they were to put a couple washers below the seats where they bolt on. But right here, with the way I have my Exocet seat set up right now mine has sliders on it, but mine's at 10.5 degrees and it's very, very, very comfortable, which I really like, because you sit in it and you're like, oh, this feels really cool. But this is a half-scale 3D rendered or 3D printed model of the actual mount. I'm currently 3D printing a full-scale model, which is sitting, well, partly here, and the rest of it's 3D printing over there. And that should be done in, I don't know, a couple of minutes. And then the rest of it here, I'm going to put it all together once it's done. So I've got part of it here. It just fell apart. What we'll do then is we'll sit it in the chassis. We're going to drill some holes, put the seat on top of it, and this won't be able to hold a lot of weight, but it's just a prototype. And the good thing that the Track Dog Racing aluminum seats only weigh like 4 pounds. So we'll set that on, see how it works. If we like it, we'll make any adjustments we need to, and then we're going to make a full-fledged metal prototype out of it using 3/16 bar steel that's hardened. In the event that these things break, your seat belts, mainly your 4 or 5-point harness, we have 5-point harnesses for the Exocet. Those are really designed to keep you in place. Should your seat break loose, which actually isn't that uncommon, the belts are designed to keep you in place. And I wanted to over-engineer this just a little bit, just to be on the safe side, but this also is encompassing a lot with the actual design that Track Dog Racing uses. If you go online and you find the seat mounts that they make for NA and NB Miatas, they look extremely similar to this. Now, once I'm done making this, I am going to send this to Track Dog Racing and say, hey, here's something I've engineered. It's specifically designed for the Exocet. Would you guys mind producing this? And if they would produce it, that'd be awesome. And now we've got ourselves a completed 3D printed full-scale version of the Track Dog Racing mount seat bracket. Now, I intend to make this out of 3/16 hardened 1-inch wide plate steel in order to use for the mock-up of the prototype. Based on our computer-generated models, it was able to withstand a significant amount of force, and I think that'll actually be quite satisfactory for this. Now, this will obviously be used, in my opinion, primarily for the passenger side seat. The passenger side seat should not be adjustable on the Exocet. Now, in my opinion, it's one less thing that you want to have possibly moving or breaking. And given that my wife will more than likely be the person in the passenger seat, I want to make sure that her seat's even more safe than mine, because I don't want anything happening to her. Because I love you, babe. So, designed this with a little bit of motion so that you could adjust it forward or backwards on the seat depending on where you mount the bolts, with about a 3.5-inch space, which is actually quite a bit. Most seats will actually move further than that, But for the passenger side seat, I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to create something custom and different for the driver's side seat, so we'll see what we can do with there. But one thing I will notice is that the lever arms here that are on both sides on all parts that sit inside the 1-inch square channel. Now, if you get your floor pans welded in from Exomotive, which is an optional extra, but it's something I went for simply because I hate doing rivets, they will actually weld it about a 1/4 inch up into the actual cavity of the square tubing, which actually makes your depth for where these arms would go a lot shorter. It makes it roughly about 3/8 of an inch shorter. So what you'll want to do then is you trim this off. If you had a metal one, you'd just trim it off. If you bought this as a kit, when you dropped it in there, which would be fine, there's nothing wrong with that, just to adjust for the size. Now, I didn't do that with this prototype. This is intentionally designed for someone who didn't get their floor pans welded in. If it's too big, you can always trim it a little bit, which is fine. This obviously is not trimmed, but I'm going to go ahead and fit it in here anyway, and we're going to see how it fits. And I will tell you, I've actually fitted it already. It fits beautifully. Alrighty, and here we go. Would you look at that? Accurate within about 1/2 millimeter, to be perfectly honest. And obviously the real thing will bend and flex slightly to get it to fit, but it should be within, I'd say, roughly 1/2 millimeter, which is what I have this within 0.1 millimeter of actual accuracy. And then you can adjust left or right. I have most of the time my stuff going all the way to the left, but depending on what kind of a seat you would use from Track Dog, you should be just fine. Oh, look at that. That fits perfectly. And we set her on down. It goes right in. Now, obviously, it's hitting the welds here a little bit, which obviously you would shorten this in the case if you had welded in floor pans like we do. But all in all, it works and fits very nicely. Now, yeah, see that? You can see that there is a bit of a gap, so you'd want to cut off a little bit off the bottom of those feet right there, but that's not too bad, all in all. We've actually got the seat in, and it fits perfect. I can't see anything wrong with it. Mechanically, everything fits. Clearances are good. Tolerances should be just fine. And the angle, I think, looks very, very comfortable. It's extremely comparable to what mine is. So, yeah, I think it's, we're actually onto something here. Possibly very, very, very good. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of autofocus here, but we've got the seat sitting in there. Everything fits very nicely. If we come on down here, we can see that everything is sitting on there. I have a little bit of foam under there just to hold up because the plastic did bend a little bit, but that's to be expected. And it fits and it works. It works very, very nicely the whole way back. So I'm actually quite happy with this. For a base run prototype, it's not difficult and it's not a bad build, but it is effective and it does work. So I'm quite happy with it. So we'll have to wait and see what Track Dog Racing thinks of it. There's the other seat, which I will get to at another date and time. But until now, we got a custom seat bracket for our passenger seat. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, it is very early in the morning. I've been working all night and I'm going to go to bed now. So until next time, guys, I am Bert from Pixel Armory. Like, favorite, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. If you're a fan of Pixel Armory and Bert's Garage, feel free to become a Patreon subscriber, just like our good friend Patrick O'Connor and Nico Daché. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.